My name is Marcella Brady, and I'm doing my presentation on foraging behavior in carpenter bees. All right, this is a short video of the carpenter bee on the deck. There's two factors at play at this point. There's this brand new wood. I just had to get my part of the deck replaced. So that's brand new wood. And also in North Carolina, there's a really, really high pollen count. So there's a film of pollen on everything. You can see it on the cars. You can wipe it off your clothes. And in this particular day, it was very high. Also want to note that the carpenter bee was very stationary, which is not typical. So I had to do some research and kind of find out what was going on. He was planting the antenna and kind of moving, his tail. So I know that he was actively doing something, and I could tell that he was a male because of the white face. So he was actively doing something. This my hypothesis is that he was attracted to the new wood and the pollen that was on the rail. Causation: carpenter bees forage because they collect pollen and nectar. Their sensory and neural processes may detect it nearby or even far away. Environmental triggers include resource availability and temperature. And that study was directly on optimal peak temperatures for foraging for carpenter bees. In development, carpenter bees learn to adapt to the environment and to forage during times of peak nectar and pollen availability. A study showed that out of 16 other insects visiting this particular flower, the carpenter bee visited the most, which suggests that they develop a sense of where to go for the most reward. Also, carpenter bees will travel longer distance than other bees to obtain resources. And that particular study was directly on studying the carpenter bee's favorite flower. Evolution: carpenter bees have short tongues, which makes it hard to get nectar from flowers with deep centers, so they have developed a practice of nectar robbing. The bees use the mandibles to cut a hole in the side of the flower to access nectar without pollinating the flower. It may have created the practice of gaining easily accessible resources such as pollen on the deck. So that was part of my hypothesis to say that that's why it was so stationary and not flying around. It spent a lot of time on the deck. It was about 2.5 minutes that I recorded that bee kind of stationary but moving on the deck. And then function: foraging provides the nutrients for survival of the species. Foraging behavior is highly flexible and appears to be dependent on the needs of the offspring in the nest. Foraging behavior can change if the species wants to breed for a smaller bodied carpenter bees who may be able to take on more risky foraging tasks. I recognize that bee as a larger bee, and the study that I cited was particularly on breeding for smaller bodied carpenter bees, which I thought that was pretty cool. The relation to cog books is the feeding and foraging with the optimal foraging theory. It makes predictions about how the animals maximize fitness while foraging. All foods come with costs, and in terms of times and energy spent locating and accessing it, so I figured that the deck was easy access. And this is my reference page. Thank you.